7 anti-cockroach controllers can actually clear a house, while 5 popular ones quietly fill it with more roaches. This matters because pest reports show over 70% of households rely on methods that either fail or attract cockroaches instead of stopping them. Clean homes still struggle because the wrong choices feed colonies, not remove them. This introduction sets up exactly which products work, which backfire, and why most people unknowingly make infestations worse. 1. Slow-acting gel baits that collapse colonies. Most people trust sprays because they give instant results. You see a roach die, and it feels like progress. Gel baits work in a way that feels slower, which is why many people underestimate them. What makes gel baits effective is behaviour, not strength. Cockroaches are social feeders. When one roach eats a slow-acting bait, it does not die immediately. It goes back to the hiding area, contaminates surfaces, and interacts with other roaches. Others feed on the same bait or on the contaminated roach. This chain reaction reaches deep into places sprays never touch. Studies and pest control data consistently show that colony-level elimination only happens when poison reaches the nest. Sprays kill individuals. Gels kill systems. When used correctly, sightings drop steadily instead of bouncing back every few weeks. The key is placement, not quantity. Small dots near hidden areas work better than large amounts in open spaces. When people say gel stopped working, it is usually because it was placed where roaches do not live. The next controller becomes even more effective because it targets the exact physical zones where most colonies are actually built. 2. Sticky traps used as control, not decoration. Sticky traps are often treated like a monitoring tool only. People place 1 or 2, forget about them, and assume they do not do much. Used correctly, sticky traps reduce populations and expose behaviour. Cockroaches follow fixed routes along walls and appliances. Traps placed along these paths intercept movement night after night. Over time, this removes active feeders and breeders from circulation. What makes traps powerful is information. A trap under the sink that fills quickly tells you where activity is concentrated. Moving traps based on results tightens control. This is how professionals map infestations without guessing. Traps also work without chemicals. That matters in homes with children or pets. Over weeks, consistent trapping lowers pressure on the colony and makes other control methods work faster. Traps fail only when they are placed randomly. When placed with intention, they quietly thin populations while revealing weak points. The next controller works differently because it does not trap or poison, but damages roaches every time they move. 3. Boric. Acid applied where roaches cannot avoid it. Boric acid has been used for decades, which makes many people assume it is outdated. That assumption is wrong. Boric acid works through contact. When roaches walk through treated areas, fine particles stick to their bodies. As they groom themselves, they ingest it. Death comes slowly, allowing contamination to spread. What makes boric acid effective is persistence. Unlike sprays that break down quickly, boric acid remains active in dry areas for long periods. Cracks, voids, and behind appliances are ideal zones. The biggest mistake people make is using too much. Thick piles repel roaches. A light dusting is what works. When applied correctly, roaches cannot cross treated zones without exposure. Used this way, boric acid reduces populations steadily and supports other methods rather than replacing them. The next controller adds a different layer by interfering with growth and reproduction instead of immediate survival. 4. Neem-based treatments. That's slow reproduction. Neem does not kill fast, and that is exactly why it works. Neem affects feeding and development. Roaches exposed to neem eat less, grow slower, and reproduce less effectively. Over time, the population shrinks because fewer young survive to adulthood. Neem is especially useful in areas where constant chemical use is not ideal. It can be applied to cracks, moist areas, and hiding zones without strong odours or residues. The strength of neem is consistency. It does not shock the infestation. It weakens it. Combined with other controllers, it prevents recovery and rebound. Neem fails only when people expect instant results. Its role is long-term suppression that makes permanent control possible. The next controller works on behaviour rather than biology, changing where roaches choose to go. 5. Strong essential oil Repellents. Used strategically essential oils are often dismissed as myths. That happens because people use them incorrectly. Certain strong scents interfere with cockroach navigation and comfort. Peppermint, eucalyptus, and tea tree oils overwhelm their sensory system. When applied to entry points, baseboards, and specific zones, roaches avoid those areas. This does not kill roaches, it controls space. That matters when you want to protect kitchens, bedrooms, or storage areas, while other methods handle elimination elsewhere. The mistake is spraying oils everywhere. That can push roaches deeper. Used correctly, oils create boundaries that guide roaches toward traps or treated zones. Behavioral control is not a replacement for elimination. It is a steering tool that makes elimination more effective. The next controller looks simple, but works because it attacks survival through dehydration instead of poison. 6. Diatomaceous earth that works without chemicals. Diatomaceous earth does not poison roaches. It damages them physically. The fine powder scratches the outer layer of a roach's body. Over time, moisture is lost, and the insect dies from dehydration. This process is slow but unavoidable once exposure happens. The advantage is safety. Food-grade diatomaceous earth can be used in areas where chemicals are not welcome. It remains active as long as it stays dry. Like boric acid, less is more. Thin layers in cracks, under appliances, and along baseboards force contact. Heavy piles repel insects and fail. This method works best as a background controller, quietly reducing numbers while other methods do the main work. The final controller is powerful because it uses natural aversion rather than damage or poison. 7. Botanical barriers that create no-go zones. Certain plants and herbs release odours roaches avoid. Bay leaves, mint and rosemary do not kill roaches, but they discourage settlement. Placed in cabinets, drawers and storage areas, these botanicals protect sensitive spaces. They are especially useful after infestations are reduced, helping prevent re-establishment. Their power is subtle. They do not solve infestations alone. They support a system that keeps roaches uncomfortable and unsettled. When combined with traps, baits, and environmental control, botanical barriers help keep homes stable long-term. They fail only when people expect them to act like poison. Their role is prevention, not rescue. Before we proceed further, subscribe, like and comment why you like this video for a chance to win a new Apple MacBook. Up to this point, everything you have heard focuses on methods that quietly reduce cockroaches and push a home toward real control. What comes next matters just as much, because these commonly used anti-cockroach tricks do the opposite, feeding infestations, pulling roaches in, and undoing all previous effort without people realizing it. 1. Sugar-only DIY baits that quietly feed colonies. Most people trust sugar-based DIY baits because they look simple and harmless. Sugar feels safe, cheap, and logical. Cockroaches like sweet food, so people assume sugar will draw them out and solve the problem. What actually happens is the opposite. Sugar alone does not kill cockroaches. It feeds them. When sugar is placed in corners or near sinks, it becomes a steady food source. Instead of starving, colonies stabilize and grow stronger. Reproduction continues quietly because energy intake increases. Over time, more roaches appear, not fewer. The brand or trick feels active, but it is doing nothing except supporting survival. Homes using sugar-only baits often see infestations spread into new rooms as roaches follow the food smell. The long-term damage is hidden. People keep adding more sugar, thinking it is not enough yet. That only increases feeding. What makes this worse is that sugar attracts roaches from outside as well, pulling new insects into the home. This method does not reduce colonies. It trains them to stay. The next method is even worse, because it does not just feed roaches, it teaches them how to hide deeper and avoid real control. This mistake repeats itself every night. 2. Foggers and bug bombs that push roaches into walls. People trust foggers because they promise total coverage. One can, one room, everything handled. The idea feels powerful and clean. In reality, foggers almost never reach cockroach nests. The mist stays in open air while roaches sense danger and flee. They run into walls, cabinets, ceilings, and plumbing voids. Instead of dying, they hide. The infestation spreads wider and deeper. Roaches that survive become harder to reach with future treatments. Pest control data consistently shows foggers do not eliminate cockroach populations and often make infestations worse. Another hidden problem is false confidence. After a fogger, activity drops for a short time. People assume success and stop other control steps. Weeks later, roaches return stronger and more dispersed. The brand did not fail suddenly. It failed immediately, just quietly. Foggers also leave chemical residue in living spaces while missing the insects entirely. This creates risk without benefit. Homes that rely on bug bombs usually need professional help later because roaches are now spread throughout the structure. The next option is even worse because it smells clean and safe while attracting roaches instead of removing them. This makes control harder long term. 3. Weak cleaning scents that do nothing at all. Many people trust strong-smelling cleaners to keep pests away. A fresh smell feels like protection. Labels often suggest cleanliness equals pest control. Cockroaches do not react to most mild or sweet cleaning scents the way people expect. Many cleaners evaporate quickly, leaving no barrier at all. Some even leave behind residue that smells like food to insects. The house feels cleaner, but nothing changes for the roaches. They continue using the same paths and hiding areas. The danger here is wasted time. People believe they are doing prevention while infestations quietly continue. Repeated cleaning without real control trains roaches to ignore smells completely. Over time, the insects adapt and move freely. This creates a cycle where the home looks spotless but remains infested. Another issue is overuse. Excessive cleaning sprays can drive roaches slightly away at first, then allow them to return once the scent fades. The method feels gentle and responsible, but it offers zero long-term effect. The infestation stays stable. The next item is even worse, because it invites roaches directly by smelling like food rather than simply failing. This turns prevention into attraction without people realizing. 4. Food smells and natural scraps that attract roaches. Some people believe natural items like fruit peels or coffee grounds repel insects. The idea feels safe and chemical-free. In reality, many food smells act as attractants. Cockroaches investigate food scents aggressively. Citrus peels, coffee, kinchik chai, and kitchen scraps signal feeding opportunities. Instead of staying away, roaches move toward these smells and remain nearby. When placed in cabinets or corners, these items create feeding zones. Colonies grow stronger because food becomes predictable. This is especially dangerous in apartments where smells travel between units. One home's attempt at control can attract roaches from neighboring spaces. The infestation expands instead of shrinking. Another problem is timing. Food scraps break down slowly, releasing smell for days. Roaches learn these locations and return repeatedly. The home becomes part of their feeding map. People continue adding scraps, assuming they are helping. This keeps the cycle alive. Natural does not mean effective. In this case, it means inviting. The next mistake is even worse because it feels protective and harmless while offering roaches shelter and curiosity instead of deterrence. This final one wastes effort completely. 5. Fake natural repellents that roaches ignore. Cucumber slices, mild herbs, and similar home remedies are shared widely as repellents. People trust them because they sound gentle and traditional. There is no real evidence these items repel cockroaches in active infestations. Roaches may investigate them briefly or ignore them entirely. In some cases, moisture from these items actually helps survival. Placing slices or leaves in corners gives roaches cover, not fear. The biggest damage here is distraction. People rely on these tricks and delay real control. Weeks pass, colonies grow, the infestation becomes harder to manage. These remedies do not disrupt feeding, breeding, or movement. They do nothing to nests, they only create the feeling of action. When people finally realize nothing changed, the problem is larger. This is why these methods are dangerous. They are not just ineffective, they waste time. By the time real steps are taken, roaches are deeply established. Compared to all others, this one fails, completely while appearing helpful. Avoiding it is critical if control is the goal.